Razabani for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me on Zoom today, got the knowledge himself, Mr. Spencer FEARON. Spence, always a pleasure. Firstly, how are you? How is the family? Are we all well?
Everything's blessed. Everything's really, really good. So yeah, man, I just count my blessings, bro.
I was saying to you off camera, you were looking a bit slim, young. What's the secret?
Juice diet, my friend. I did a 10-day juice diet, and I did a stone because like I was around Tundi Ajayi, and I was sat down. He said, "Bruv, your belly's looking fat," and I said, "Nah, bruv, that's straight away." You know what I mean? So I juice for 10 days, and just did shadow boxing in my garden, and yeah, in 10 days I lost a stone. So yeah,
that's juice.
But I'm really receptive to any form of anything. Like if I was to be on the road and run for a bus, I'd lose half a stone. My body drops weight crazy. But of recent, especially with the lockdown, I've put on a lot of weight because I make a mean steak, and I ain't gonna lie. It was like, and I start cut out eating red meat and stuff like that. But yeah, but I'm good, man. I'm good.
Looking good. Spence, want to jump straight into it. We saw the return of arguably the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Canelo, return back into the ring on Saturday night against Avni Yildirim. Now, a lot of people criticizing Canelo for fighting someone like Avni Yildirim, who hasn't fought for 2 years, but people need to understand there's a mandatory system and protocols that must be followed. And Canelo could have easily delayed the fight and taken it in May, but he's taken the fight nice and early, so it frees him up in the months he likes to fight in May and September. But a lot of people expected Avni to bring it, and obviously with Joe Diaz in his corner as well. But just have
why you see people why because Joe Diaz was in the corner. What does that mean? Joe Diaz is not going to fight. Let's be real. It was what it was. You know what I mean? Yildirim is the only time I've seen him fight prior was when he got knocked out by Chris Eubank Jr. Right? But also when you look at how good Canelo is, he's superb. So it doesn't matter. It's the things like Canelo's willing to fight the best anyway. So he can be kind of excused because he was #1 contender, but thank God he's now going to be fighting Billy Joe Saunders, who's a real live contender. Not even contender because he's a world champion himself. So that, you know what I mean? But we got to see him, and I think it was more to do with the spectacle. I thought it was excellent, the build up and everything else, and how he came out with the rappers and the fireworks exploding. It was hyped, and it was like that was very, very entertaining. And Canelo's performance, we know that Canelo's a superb fighter anyway. He's absolutely superb. So to be up against Yildirim, who is 3 or 4 levels below him, right? How do we, you know what I mean? But regardless of that, it's still artful butchery. There are guys, if you go throughout history, like I like to bore people. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard fighting in 1982, fighting a guy called Bruce Finch. Bruce Finch was nowhere in Ray Leonard's league. And it was just how Leonard just dispatched of him. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it was artful butchery. And we saw the same thing with Canelo. Like, wow, incredible.
Spence, obviously, we'll get to Billy Joe shortly, but we know he's teamed up with Eddie Hearn recently for a couple of fights. Does he look like a different fighter to you? Does he look like a more happy fighter to you? Obviously, we know he had his issue with Golden Boy, etc. But it seemed like he's just, the passions exceeded all of a sudden.
He does look happy. You know what I mean? It's been well documented of his rift between him and Oscar De La Hoya. So obviously now, you know what I mean? Happy fighters are good fighters. And just by, you know, even more so seeing him in the change room and stuff like that, seeing how relaxed he is and everything was, yeah, it was a pleasure to see. And just the performance, regardless, whoever he's got in front of him, because, hey, what? You mean, a couple months ago, you just fought Callum Smith, right? Callum Smith is the best at the time, the best super middleweight in the world. You know, look what he done to him. So we can't take away nothing from Canelo's bad, man. I mean, enjoy him while he's here, because he's gonna go down in history as an all-time great, not just a great Mexican fighter, but an all-time great. And people are saying that already now he's the greatest Mexican fighter of all time, right? I'm gonna argue Julio Cesar Chavez until Canelo retires. When he retires, then we'll see. But right now, it's still Julio Cesar Chavez. And these young kids should never forget that great man. Julio Cesar Chavez was absolutely superb.
Billy Joe Saunders was announced as May 8th opponent. Obviously, Billy holds one of the belts that Canelo wants, the WBO strap. Spence, what chances do you give Billy Joe? Now, a lot of people look at Billy's performances against Andy Lee, look at his performance with David Lemieux and say he's slick, southpaw, feet movement, keeps the distance, keeps the range. He's in and out. He'll be hard to hit. But Billy hasn't really produced those performances as of late over his last couple of performances that he's had. Last, Martin Murray. And then obviously fought on the YouTube card. So he hasn't really brought in those performances that have seen of him in the past. So is Billy this type of fighter that he has to have a big name to bring the best out of him?
Listen to me. Billy Joe Saunders is an occasion fighter. He doesn't fight occasionally, but now he's not fighting he's fighting very sporadically, but he's an occasion fighter. And the bigger the name, the best Billy Joe we're gonna see, right? Because he needs something to put that firecracker up his backside. And I think he's gonna get that. You're gonna get that because you're fighting Canelo. You're fighting an elitist. Billy Joe's very, very good. Very good. And yes, you'd have to favor Canelo to beat him. But never write off Billy Joe. Never. Because the guy's multifaceted. He's a very, very good talent. He's got very good lateral movement. His footwork's incredible. I'm telling you this now. His footwork is incredible. So you get, like, his footwork is like if you mix Torval Dean with Michael Jackson and Pele, you get Billy Joe Saunders. Simple as that. So anyone don't write off Billy Joe at your peril. Of course, Canelo's gonna be an overwhelming favorite going into this fight. But I know Billy Joe's not coming for a paycheck and he's also not coming to lay down. Billy Joe is actually a fighting man. All right? Just look at him. He's demeanor, everything else. He's a fighting man. But you have to say Canelo to win, but never write off Billy Joe Saunders.
Spence, can we take anything away from that Lara fight? I know it was 7 years ago and Canelo has significantly improved as a fighter, but can we take anything from that Lara fight?
Why? Because Billy's a southpaw, Lara's a southpaw?
Yeah.
Two different styles, though. Lara was very, very Allard, Harold Graham in that fight. For you young kids, go watch Harold Graham. Incredible fighter. One of Britain's greatest fighters, never to win a world title. Challenged for a world title 3 times, but never won it against really good fighters. But, you know, I can't take nothing from that. But what I do know is, go look when Canelo was not the same fighter from the Lara fight. He's certainly not the same fighter from the Austin Trout fight. I mean, Austin Trout gave him a very good run. My opinion, I thought Lara could have got the nod in that fight. But you are against a superstar in Canelo, so straight away that fight starts your 2 rounds down anyway, right? But also Lara didn't try to stamp his authority on Canelo. And we know why, because Canelo can whack. But Billy Joe's in with a chance. But the thing what scares me is this. I would have preferred, if I'd have seen on the record of Billy Joe, him having a victory over someone like a Daniel Jacobs, right? I'd have preferred to have seen and say, right then, I'm looking on Billy Joe's resume, and I've seen even Austin Trout. You know what I mean? I've seen those kind of names to say, right then, well, that's kind of preparing you for that step up, or him going in with a Golovkin. That's preparing you for that step up. So you got to say, who's the best name on Billy Joel's resume? You're gonna say most probably David Lemieux, because of the hype and he could punch and all the rest of it. So we got to say and Andy Lee, that was a very, very good win, because Andy Lee's a very, very good, very good boxer, and he could punch as well from his position. But I can't really read into it too much. But I do know there was an old adage that Mexican fighters can't handle speed, right? But I think whereas Canelo is so well-rounded, like he knows like his timing of his shots, they are superb. But one thing I'm gonna keep on saying again, I know Billy Joe Saunders is coming to fight, right? But he's coming to fight. And that guy's got tricks, man. He's got loads of tricks. You know what I mean? You go wrap up Copperfield and Paul Daniels, the guy's got tricks. He's gonna have to use everything. He's gonna have to use everything that he's got to try and secure victory.
Spence, Canelo said when he fought Callum Smith, he took a week out and then he went back straight into the gym, started to train for his mandatory. He's now about 8.5, 9 weeks away from Billy Joe. So he's not going to spend too much time outside of the gym. A week, maybe 8, 9 days. So with those back-to-back camps, maybe, is that a little advantage to Billy Joe?
For Billy Joe?
The fact
Why?
Because the fact that Canelo has been in constant camp, the fact that he's constantly training and not resting as much?
No, not at all. You have to remember this, right? Joe Gallagher told me they got some minute amount of time, I think it was like 4 weeks, to prepare to go and fight Canelo. 4 weeks to prepare for Canelo. So Canelo's the A side, he can dictate what he wants to go and dictate, right? But Canelo knew he had to train for Callum Smith. Callum Smith's a good fighter, right? Eugene, no disrespect to Eugene, you know, you can just turn up and just do what you had to do, make weight and just do what you had to go do, right? But I would like to see, as Tyson Fury alluded to, I'd like to see Billy in like a little bit more fights going into this fight. But what I do know is like a motivated Billy Joe Saunders, he's going to give anyone trouble. I don't care who you are. And also, what we do know is that I've known Billy from a young age, from the amateurs I've known him. Billy Joe, when that occasion gets to him, he performs. I just want you to realize this. Billy Joe will perform. So don't write him off.
Okay, Spence, well, as the fight draws near, I'm sure I'll be speaking to you more often and breaking that fight down in detail. Spence, I want to touch on another fight that took place on the card. Chinese heavyweight Zhang fought Forrest. Now, the bit I want to touch on is that Eddie Hearn said that Zhang could potentially be an opponent for Anthony Joshua because of his, obviously, he resides in China. China has a big following and it could be a mega fight.
It'd be great, but he got a draw against Forrest. And I remember seeing when Forrest lost to Michael Hunter. I remember that fight. So you just got a draw. And yet, economically, it makes sense, yeah? But Eddie Hearn shouldn't be calling no Zhang for potentially fighting Tyson Fury. Potentially fighting Anthony Joshua. There's only one name that Eddie Hearn should be calling right now. It's Tyson Fury. Make that fight happen. Don't be dangling carrots. Eddie Hearn's a G at what he does. I have to give him that. But no, yeah. You can have the fight in China and we can make so much money from the fight and blah, blah, blah. No, the people want to see Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. So forget about that. And you know what? I was speaking to people because I hadn't seen that Chinese guy fight before. And they were saying he was rubbish. And like, technically, he's not bad, you know. I thought he was going to be worse than, because everyone was saying he was rubbish. I thought he was going to be worse than that. But I give Forrest all the credit in the world because Forrest, you know, like sometimes you're watching a fight, you're willing the guy, because he was the underdog as well, I'm willing the guy to come home because I was hearing a lot of hype about this Zhang geezer. and he stuck it on him. He stuck it on him well, and he was consistent with applied pressure in the last 2 rounds. It was a 10-round fight, right? In the last 2 rounds, he really bit down on his gumshoe. So I've got to give him all the credit on what. But I'm just gonna be real. I have no interest in watching that guy go and fight AJ at this present moment. None whatsoever. You got a draw against Forrest. So how you want to talk about making that fight? Eddie Hearn should be fair and give Forrest a rematch. That's what you should do. Give the guy a rematch.
We'll see if that happens. Spence, we saw obviously on Saturday, early morning, Joseph Parker returned back into the ring after a year out. A lot of ring rust. He said that himself. He was out for 12 months. But they're talking now about Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora. I know you know Derek very, very well. Derek obviously had that loss with Alexander Usyk, but Derek wants that fight. He is goading Joseph Parker and saying, I want that fight. Joseph Parker says, I want that fight. So is that a good fight for both fighters at this stage?
It's got to happen. They're both guys said they want the fight. It's got to happen. I like Joseph Parker a lot. Good guy. Really, really nice guy. Really humble human being. And so is Derek. Forget about the shenanigans that he gets up to and all the rest of it. That's for camera. Derek is one of the coolest guys you could meet. He's such a cool guy. And they should fight. That would be a fun fight. You know what you're saying? Like, oh, I want to see a fun fight. That fight there would be a fun fight. You know what I mean? Because Joseph Parker doesn't really take a backward step, and neither does Derek Chisora. So it would be a fun fight, and that's a fight that we'd have to see. I thought, and I've got to say this, I thought Joseph Parker was very, very fortunate to get the win against Farr. I thought Farr actually won the fight. But the maddest thing is this, I reckon Farr could go fight anybody else now and lose to him and not fight that way. But when you have 2 Kiwis in there, they're going to go at it because it's pride. It's a cultural pride thing. But you know what? But and my heart goes out to Farr because I thought he'd done enough to win. And I like Joseph Parker because Joseph Parker was a bit relieved and shocked at the same time that he got the decision. But that's a gentleman that I like Joseph Parker. He's a proper gentleman. Proper gentleman. But yeah, Derek Chisora and that's the fight. I'd love to see that fight. It'd be a good fight.
Okay, Spence. I did say I was going to keep it short and sweet. I think I've left it short and sweet. I'm not sure how long we've done, but appreciate your time as always. And I will be nagging you in a couple of weeks for another interview probably.
Yeah. No, I just want everyone who's listening to this, thank you for listening. And I'm saying this to people. Waking up in the morning is such an underrated blessing. It's underrated. So if you've woken up, you got a roof over your head, you got food in the fridge, and you know where your next meal's coming from, and you got health and strength, you've won. You know what I mean? Your competition with nobody else but yourself. That is it. Because you know what? There's no such thing as a life better than your own. Because no one can have your life. I want you to realize that. I say this to my kids all the time. You're the best. You're not better than anybody else. No one's not better than you, but you are the best. I say it to my kids every single day. Yeah, I mean, I say to anyone listening to air, if you got those things, health and strength, roof over your head, know your next meal's coming from, and you're saying, spread love, give love. Simple as that. Peace, 2 fingers, I'm out.
I mean to that. Spencer FEARON, IFL TV, thank you very much.